Hello everyone and welcome to a new series in Kerbal Space Program Rp01. So I've been playing with this save for a little bit. This is KSP 4.5, and now that I've gotten it seems to be working more or less in order, I decided to give it a try to making a series. So you will actually notice here that it's already September 1955. So yeah, I'm not starting from the beginning, but unless this is your first realism overhaul series that you've seen, you've probably seen enough sounding rocket launches to have your fill. So yeah, I don't even remember all the mods that I have. I have quite a few, but the most important ones, besides obviously the whole realism overhaul and Rp1 suite, I have a Principia here, which for those who don't know, replaces the just patch conics way of calculating orbits and uses n-body gravitation. So it allows you to put objects in Lagrange points and that sort of thing. The other one that is really important is KRPC. So this one, and actually I was doing some testing before. So this one actually lets you control the craft using different programming languages. I'm going to be using Python. So yeah, and also a little bit of a role-playing element. Here this is an alternate reality where Mexican economy has actually been good enough to support a space program. So yes, I'm Mexican, so I decided to give it a try. And our launch site is here in Cozumel. I got the remote tech station working at some point, but it stopped working a couple of in-game years. I don't know why. If anybody knows, it's still in the configs, but for some reason it doesn't appear. But yeah, at some point I'll just have to put a relay or something. Yeah, so the reason why the KRPC mod is quite important for this save, this is a challenge that I have imposed. Well, two challenges actually. One, unless a vehicle is manned, I will not be flying it directly in any situation. So if it's a probe, it will only be controlled via program. And the more complicated of the two challenges is that I will not be using maneuver nodes. So I've been learning to program for calculations in astrodynamics, and I will be calculating, writing my own programs to calculate each maneuver. Right now I only have a program to calculate a more or less decent ascent profile, and I'll go more into that in a little bit. But yeah, the goal is to be able to program encounters with other planets and such. And that also leads me to not the ultimate goal, but the first important goal I have with the save is to send a Voyager style mission. So I'm going to be focusing on, especially when it comes to the research of technologies, to get all the technologies I need to communicate with something as far as Neptune, and of course to be able to chuck a significant amount of scientific instruments towards Jupiter for it to be able to make the slingshot maneuver. And yeah, I think that's basically all the important mods. I'll probably mention some others as I go. Oh yeah, I also have a test flight. So quite a bit of a masochist save here, but it's the fun part. You will also notice there's an extra one-way here. It's from the Kerbal Constructs mod, simply because yeah, the normal, I think I've heard that now the level 1 runway is not as bumpy, but still when you get to level 3 it still has the bumps, so I just decided to put one runway that is actually usable from the start, and that's it. I won't be focusing too much on airplanes. I've done a couple of missions, but that's it. So yeah, until I get to being able to make space planes, I won't touch that so much. Okay, now let's go see the rocket. Okay, so here we have, this is my first orbital rocket. I just got to the point. I still haven't achieved orbit, so that's, I just accepted the contract for the first artificial satellite. So it's the same principle as the, what was it, the Juno rocket that launched the Explorer satellite. So here I'm using the Soviet engine, and this first stage is basically going to chuck up the rest of the rocket to around 250 kilometers in altitude. Then I'm going to be using the RCS to point it to the horizontal. I only have avionics in this first stage, so then I have I'm going to spin stabilize it, and these are the not the RB but the XASR rocket motors. So not solid motors, liquid fuel, but and yeah, it's 2 stages. I have I think 5 engines here and 1 engine here. And if you see here, I have more than enough to reach orbit, but I don't have really that much control, so I'm going to need every little bit of it. So yeah, I already have this one rolled to the launch pad, so let's go to the launch. Okay, so here we are on the launch pad and ready to go. So here. So yeah, you'll maybe notice that I play this in windowed mode, but that's because I go back and forth between Spider, which is the Python editor I used, and Kerbal Space program. So yeah, while this is launching, I'll briefly say like what programs I use to do this. So my technique for coming up with the scent profile, first I have a program to make a thrust curve, making the relation between the altitude at which the rocket engine is and its actual thrust, because for those who are not familiar with the rocketry, the thrust of the engine depends on the pressure, the atmospheric pressure around it, so it's not constant. So yeah, then using that information, I basically run a simulation where I try to, like, starting at a certain speed, I just pitch the rocket a little bit to the side, and then like basically what kind of curve it would follow if it just allowed gravity to now I'm struggling to explain myself. So yeah, the natural gravity curve that would follow from just that starting a pitch at said speed, and then what I do from just that simulation, I run that simulation in another Python program, not like Crash or anything like that in KSP, and then from that I can get like an ascent profile. And then when I actually launch the rocket, it basically has I give it an equation to say like, okay, if you're going at this speed, you need to be at this pitch, and hopefully what that will do, if there's a minor failure in an engine, it will not keep following the prograde vector, but just start pitching up to compensate for the loss of thrust and such. But yeah, right now I've only tested it with this rocket with just one engine, and when I was testing, usually the engines either it just failed to ignite on launch, or the failure occurred in one of the XCSRs over here. So yeah, let's see if this launch gets screwed over by test flight. I also should say I probably will not be showing all of the launches always, this just for being the first launch. In realism overhaul, launches tend to take quite a lot longer, even without lag. And you'll notice I don't have I think I still have scatter, but I don't have like the environmental visual enhancements or anything. I actually installed them in the save, but it was really slow. So yeah, it was not an option. Which is sad because it really is a beautiful game. Well, it still is a beautiful game, but it looks so nice with clouds and the northern and southern lights and all of that. Also the atmospheric scattering from Titan and such. But yeah, I'm playing this in a very modest laptop, so it can't handle a lot. I actually tried installing, there's already a way of installing Rp01 in KSP 1.6.1, which was, I think I heard, was supposed to be better optimized, but it uses a lot more RAM with the mods apparently, so I was getting a lot of crashes, so I decided to just stick to the failure. Okay, well, it was almost at the end. What is it? Performance. Oh, okay. So yeah, this was supposed to get up to 250. Well, actually 260, but my program still fails to account for drag, so that's something I need to work on. But anyway, right now it's just going to wait until it passes 140 kilometers, and it will point this to the horizon. Then, like I said before, just spin stabilize, fire up, and hope it gets to orbit. I don't have to do science right now. Okay, so now the waiting part. I've just run out of... Yeah, I'll probably cut this part and come back when it starts orienting itself, because I've run out of things to say. Yes, one thing I should mention is, so yeah, there's not going to be any flying the probe, like me directly using the controls or anything, but yeah, it has started to pitch down. But for science and such, I haven't delved enough into KRPC to, like, I've been focusing on learning how to control the rockets and get also telemetry data, not so much to figure out, like, I know it should be quite simple, but like every time it's in a new biome to take science reading and such, I haven't looked up into it. So at least at the beginning, I'll just manually be saying, like, okay, take science now, and yeah, that's a limit. But yeah, basically, there's also this weird bug that happens. I think it's a bug in the base game, and it just doesn't get corrected when it goes to the KRPC mod. but that the torque being applied by the thrusters is computed incorrectly. So when I use just the normal autopilot function in KRPC with RCS, it is constantly firing the thrusters unnecessarily, and it drains the fuel. So I'll have to work on my own autopilot. But for now, the only thing I did was tell I don't even know why I put all the 4 thrusters. Basically, this downward facing one to fire for 5 seconds, and then when it reaches like 0 degrees in pitch, this one will fire for 5 seconds, and that's it. It's deviating a little bit, but it should be okay. It's not full on the 90 degrees. Oh well, yeah. I was testing this with a polar orbit. Because I thought once you accepted the first orbit contract, you could also go for the first polar orbit contract, but I didn't see it. I only had the first solar powered satellite, which I do not have the tech for yet. That's going to be the next thing to focus on. But yeah, now it's basically stabilized it, and when it gets to 10 kilometers below the apoapsis, it's going to fire the rocket. So it should be soon now. And yeah, hopefully the Cubans won't mind that the lower part of the rocket will probably land in one of their beaches. I also think there's science that I haven't done near Cuba, so I have to pay attention to that. That's the main reason why I have the current biome here. So yeah, it should be about to fire. And of course, really the least likely engine to fails. Oh god. And the one that screws everything up. What's the trajectory? Nope. I was thinking maybe to just let it keep going to see if I can get some science, because what's my science? Okay, yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to unlock another node with just a reading from over here. So yeah, range safety, and I'll be back. Oh, no connection either. Well, yeah, there's nothing to do but let this and I'm already getting failures in the XCSRs as well. But yeah, I can't destroy it, I can't shut it down, so I'll just let it run its course, and I'll be back with the next launch. Okay, so quick update here. So 4 out of the 5 XCSRs in the second stage had some form of failure or another during the flight. So by the time the third stage ignited, it was basically pointed backwards. So of course nothing came out of it. Good news is it actually slowed itself enough down that it did not hit either Cuba or I forget what the small island south of Cuba is. I think Dominican Republic. I really suck with the Caribbean islands. But anyway, it takes like 49 days to build another one. We have 2 years to finish the contract, so it's not too worrisome. So yeah, I'll come back when it's time to launch again. Okay, so back again at the launch pad, and I have all the guidance set up. Just go. Okay, so at least no problem with ignition. And I think what we'll do now is just come back with regular updates, or, well, if something goes wrong. Okay, so quick update here. We're getting close to Miko. So far so good, but, well, you know, it's never too late for a failure, so let's see. But yeah, you see, this was the apopsis you should have gone for earlier. And now, yeah, we'll come back when... Actually, no, I'll take this as an opportunity to say a few things also. If at some point I'm doing a build episode or going into the research and development building, you will see I have parts that are not that they don't have a realism overhaul configs. So before you ask me like where I got the configs for those parts or something, I haven't. One of my goals in this series is to learn how to do such configs, and I just install the part packs, and that way I will see that they're there and as a reminder that you wanted to at some point make configs for this particular mod pack or something. So yeah, I'll come back when it's time to light the engines again. Okay, so it has started pointing itself in the right direction. Again, it's deviated slightly south of where it should be going, but well, I tested this and it was able to get into a polar orbit, so it should have no problem going with the rotation of the Earth. Now it's just a matter of not having failures on every single bloody engine in this thing. Last launch was a mess. Also, it's good to know for role-playing purposes that the main, like the first stage tank does not actually fall in Cuba. I don't know honestly how much I'm going to try to role play the whole consequences of each launch with stages falling in other countries and such. I already have my launch site in Cozumel, which is probably not the best thing for the coral reef there. It's quite an important coral reef, and if the Mexican Space Agency actually announced tomorrow that they're going to start they're going to seek the ability to put satellites in orbit, and they start construction of a spaceport in Cozumel, I would probably be very much against it. Okay, so it's all lined up, and now it should be up to 252 kilometers. I don't know if maybe I should have gone for a lower apopsis to take more, but well, I have delta V to spare. I was more concerned like if there was a failure that made that it was burning a little bit too high or too low. This gave me a good cushion on not having the final orbit be like really high apoapsis and but still not orbital as far as the periapsis is concerned. Okay, much better start. So yeah, since this part of the rocket hasn't functioned properly yet, I'm just going to keep the video going, unless I start feeling too awkward about just recording myself staring at a screen. Actually, let's... No, that's not what I wanted to do. Nope. Ah, there. I always forget my key bindings. So that's Dominican Republic, right? I know that's Haiti and something else, I don't remember. Oh god. I'm not that bad with geography, but as far as the Caribbean islands, I'm a mess. Like South America, I'll name all of the countries without a problem. Central America, not so much. But the Caribbean islands, yeah. Cuba, that's all I know. Cuba and Haiti. How far along are we? Oh, it's looking good, it's looking good. I really miss the callouts though, like, but yeah, it was impossible, and I know it was definitely, it was not general graphic settings or something, it just, oh, okay, it's starting to wobble. Yep, failure here. But it shouldn't be too bad. What was it? Check before stages. Performance loss. Oh. But yeah, it should still be more than enough delta V left in all of this. Yeah, so actually, like, if I would be in this launch here, it was getting to maybe 5 seconds real time for every second in the game, and then I would just look up away from, like, so that there would be no land or atmosphere in the frame, and it would speed up considerably. So I'm like, yeah, the clouds have to go, unfortunately. Still a very pretty game. And I'm getting a lot of okay, yeah, it's back. Yeah, I can't wait to be a little bit more settled down. I'll buy a proper desktop instead of having always a laptop with a decent size of RAM, and I can play this game like with all the eye candy mods possible. Ooh. And we're in orbit. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah. No, yeah, this is just one of the standard contracts. I also had another contract for getting, I think, 3,000 kilometers or 4,000 kilometers, like the sounded rocket altitude contracts. Yes, part of the... okay, good. Wait, what? Aha, yes, that's... I forgot I had this. Excellent. Wait, how much was that? Not bad, not bad. 20,000 funds. This has stopped running, yes. Okay, so now I'll just... I need to get some science for the contract to be complete, so I'll just... I forget what I already have. So these the only two experiments that I have that are biome dependent in low Earth orbit are the, what is this thing? Yeah, the Geiger-Müller and the telemetry analysis. So, forest. No. Okay, I'll be back when I get the science. Okay, so we have our science, Savannah. How much? Yeah, I have enough. Yeah, I've noticed the Geiger-Müller power requirements for transmitting data were quite high, and before this probe has a battery on it. Before that I was just using the power in the sounding rocket telemetry unit. Yeah, it was not enough. Let's see. So we have yeah, the other contract that I had. Yeah, destroyed. 3,000 kilometers altitude record. 3,000. Oh wow, I did not notice 7,000. Ah, good. And the first artificial satellite. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to see how much science I can get out of this before I'll probably destroy it before it runs out of energy, so that it's not cluttering up. Especially with the Principia mod, you don't want to have a lot of dead satellites around because it just slows down your game. So yeah, I'll be back when we're at the Space Center. And I'm back. So I do believe I was able to get all the biomes found in that specific, my inclination was around 20 degrees, so I wasn't going to get a lot, but it was still mountains, deserts, and well, the savanna, and yeah, the other ones I had already gotten, like tropics, waters, shore. So yeah, this is the state of my tech tree right now. The yellow ones are the ones that I have unlocked but have not yet been researched. And so now I think what I'm going to prioritize, well, go for the solar panels here that have already been researched. This is so my priority right now. I have orbital rocketry and then the solar panels. And then with 32, so usually since I have to wait a lot for these to open up, every time I get new science I just go for the ones that require the lowest amount to be able to unlock more nodes and get more KCT points, and then I just sort it out afterwards. So yeah, I think the best is going to be these. And yeah, well, at some point I'll have to actually start seeing like if I really need that particular technology or not. But at this point, most of them you need to unlock everything to get to the next one, so I'm not really worrying about it. So yeah, those are 2 more points. So yes, I think this is where I'm going to wrap it up, and next time I'll use the same rocket, but well, let's see if I have the polar orbit contract and try to do that. And if not, I will still just launch it polar orbit to get the science. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.